So good evening. Good evening all. This is the third day of net coaching online class conducted by Commerce Club, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. Today we have two sections. First section handled by Dr. Arathy C, Faculty, Department of Commerce, dealing with the topic business economics. So I would like to invite Dr. Arathy C for taking the session. Welcome, ma'am. Please.
Okay, thank you, Sharon. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Slide കാണാവോ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today's topic is business economics. This is the syllabus. It includes meaning and scope of business economics, objectives of business firms, demand analysis, law of demand, elasticity of demand and its measurement, relationship between average revenue and marginal revenue, consumer behavior, that's utility analysis, and indifference curve analysis. So first we move on to the topic business economics. What is business economics? It is also known as managerial economics. The other name of business economics is managerial economics. It means it is the application or integration of economic theory into business management. What is it? It is the application of economic theory into business management for the purpose of decision making and forward planning for the management.
Hello, ma'am.
എന്താ പറഞ്ഞോളൂ?
ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡിലാണുള്ളതെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു. ബിസിനസ് എക്കണോമിക്സ് എന്നുള്ള ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡാണുള്ളതെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
ഫസ്റ്റ് സ്ലൈഡ്
അത് മാത്രമാണ് കാണുന്നത്. ബിസിനസ് എക്കണോമിക്സ് എന്ന ഫസ്റ്റ് പേജ് ആണ് കാണുന്നത് സ്ലൈഡ്.
ഇത് ഇപ്പൊ പറഞ്ഞത് കാണാൻ വയ്യല്ലേ?
ഇല്ല, ഫസ്റ്റിലാണ് സെലക്ട് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്.
ഇപ്പോഴും ചേഞ്ച് മാറിയിട്ടില്ലല്ലേ? ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ്.
ഇല്ല.
ഇപ്പൊ കാണാവോ?
ഓ, ഇപ്പൊ കാണാം.
അത് സ്ലൈഡ് ഷോ ഒന്നുണ്ട്. സ്ലൈഡ് ഷോയിൽ കാണാൻ പറ്റും. ഇപ്പൊ കാണാലോ അല്ലെ?
യെസ് മാം, കാണാം.
It is the application or integration of economic theory into business management for the purpose of decision making and forward planning for the management. So, it is the application or integration of economic theory into business management. For what purpose? For the decision making and forward planning for the management. This is the meaning of business economics. And the next is scope of business economics. This is the main scope of business economics. It includes demand analysis and forecasting, cost and production analysis, profit analysis, investment analysis, resource allocation, and market structure and pricing policies. The first one is demand analysis and forecasting. So it is an important area in the managerial economics, and the demand analysis means analyzing or determining the demand for the product. We said it is the determination of demand in the product. In future, to estimate the current demand and forecast the future demand. It is the part of managerial economics. The main aspects of demand analysis include demand decisions, individual and market demand analysis, demand functions, demand estimation, demand forecasting, etc. So demand analysis and the forecasting is the main scope of business economics. Next is cost and production analysis. And both these two terms also play an important role in the decision making of the business firm. According to the production analysis, it is concerned with the supply side of the market. So here it deals with the physical terms of the product produced in a business firm. The decision like the location of the production unit, the amount of products to be produced, and the scale of operations, about the product mix, etc. The decisions related to related to the managerial economics. Here, these concept long run and short run cost, cost function, cost determination, and reduction and control of cost, etc. deals with third one is profit is the main objective of effort. So, it's going to analyze the profit. So, the decision regarding the level of profit is rate, reinvestment of profit, etc. are analyzed using managerial technique. സ്ക്രീൻ കാണാവോ? കാണാമോ സ്ക്രീൻ?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, law of demand continue. So what is law of demand? It is the relationship between quantity demanded and price of a product. So what is this law state? That the quantity demanded is inversely or negatively related with the price of a product, and when the other factors be constant. So you have to remember the 2 points, that it is the negative or inverse relationship between the quantity demanded and price of a product when other factors remains constant. In other words, it means increase in the price of a product cause decrease in the demand of a product, and decrease in the price of course increase in the demand of a product. So that is why it is inversely or negatively related. Price increase cause demand decrease, and price decrease cause demand increase. That is law of demand. It is the relationship between quantity demanded and price of a product when other factors remains constant. These are the main assumptions of the law of demand. If all these assumptions are fulfilled, only when the law of demand is applicable. So the first assumption is income remains constant. And the second one is price of other goods remains constant. And the third one is habit, taste, prefer, fashion, etc. remains constant. And the fourth one is these goods have no substitutes. And the next one is, and this commodity is a normal good and it has no prestigious or status value. And the last one is no expectation of further change in the price of the product. When all these factors remain constant, only when law of demand is applicable to a product. Once more, the assumptions are income, price of other related goods, habit, taste, and preference remains constant, and there is no substitute for the goods, and the commodity is a normal good, and there is no expectation of further changes in the price of a product. These are the main assumptions of law of demand. Next is, what is the reasons for law of demand? Why law of demand happens? These are the main 5 things that is the reason for the law of demand. And the first one is substitution effect. What is substitution effect? It is the change in the quantity of a product, change in the quantity demanded of a product due to change in the price of another substitute product. Here, what is that? It is a change in the demand of a commodity. Due to what? Due to change in the price of another commodity. That another commodity is the substitute of this commodity. So here it is called substitution effect. That is the change in the quantity demanded due to change in the price of substitute product. And the next one is income effect. It is same as that of the substitution effect, but the only change is that consumers' incomes come in instead of price. Here, the change in the quantity demanded is due to change in the income of consumer. Then it is called income effect. And the third one is law of diminishing marginal utility. Here also, law of demand is applicable. What is that law states that? The law states that if a consumer consumes more and more units of a particular commodity, the satisfaction he derived from that additional utility is decreases. That is, goes on decreasing. If you consume more and more units of a particular product, your marginal utility will decreases. For example, if you consume first apple, then your marginal utility become 15, and consume second apple, your marginal utility become 10, and the third apple, it becomes 5, then last apple, it becomes negative. So more and more consumption of a particular product as the marginal utility goes on diminishing or decreasing. This is another reason for law of demand. Next is market saturation. Here, when some product like mobile or some consumer durable goods, here the majority of consumers have already purchased that product, and there is no scope for further sales. The only scope is the to replacement or their occasional purchase. In that cases, increase in the price of the commodity cause decrease in their demand. Here also, market saturation. In the case of market saturation, also the law of demand is applicable. And the last one is time preference. What is that? Sometimes we have the expectation that in future the price will rise or fall. So you have to choose delay. The consumer may choose to delay their purchase with the expectation that in future the price will increase or decrease. So here also law of demand is applicable. So these are the 5 things that is the reason for law of demand. First one is substitution effect. The second one is income effect. Third one is law of diminishing marginal utility. Fourth one is market saturation. And the last one is time preferences. These are the reasons for law of demand. What is law of demand? It means increase in the price, decrease the demand, and decrease the price, increase the demand. In all these cases, the relationship of quantity demanded and price of a commodity is negatively or inversely related. Next is we have discussed the 2 terms, important terms of demand, that is demand schedule and demand curve. First is what is demand schedule? Demand schedule, it is in the form of a table. Demand schedule is in the form of a table. It establishes the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded by an individual customers. So it is the relationship of price and quantity demanded by an individual customer. So demand schedule is a table which shows the list of prices on the one column and the corresponding quantities demanded by the individual customer on the another column. So demand schedule is in the form of a table which establishes the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded by the consumer. Next term is demand curve. What is demand curve? It is the graphical representation. It is the graphical representation of demand schedule. So it is the graphical representation of the relationship between the price of a product and the quantity demanded by consumers. Demand schedule is in the form of a table and the demand curve is a graphical representation of demand schedule. The next important point is that what is the shape of a demand curve in law of demand? In the case of law of demand, the demand curve is downward sloping. From left to right. That means it is a negative slope. So once more, you have to remember that the demand curve of law of demand is downward sloping from left to right. That is negative slope because here the relationship is negative. So that is why it is a negative slope. Next is law of demand exceptions. What are the exceptions or limitation of law of demand? Here in this goods, law of demand is not applicable. First one is given goods. Given goods are also called inferior goods. Given goods are called inferior goods. Here, in this case of given goods, law of demand is not applicable. Law of demand is not applicable in given goods because in the case of given goods, the demand curve is upward slope. It is upward sloping, that is positive slope. In the case of given goods, the demand curve is upward slope. That means it is a positive relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So here the law of demand is not applicable. And the second case, it is Veblen goods. Veblen goods means luxurious. For example, rare diamonds, jewels, luxurious cars, etc. Here, these goods are associated with this social value and prestigious value. Here, it is associated with the social status. So here also, the demand curve is positive slope, because here increase in price of the product cause increase in the demand of the product, because here because of the status value people will buy luxurious good. So here law of demand is not applicable. And the third one is essential goods. Here also law of demand is not applicable, because whatever may be the price of the product, we will definitely buy the consumers will definitely buy the essential goods. For example, life-saving medicines. If the price of any medicine will rise, then people will also buy it, because the price will not affect the essential goods. So here also law of demand is not applicable. The next point is other factors are not constant. In the earlier we said that I said that the law of demand state that other factors remain constant only if law of demand is possible. Here the law of demand is not possible when any of these factors are changing. For example, price, income, habit, taste, etc. If any of these factors are changed, the law of demand is not applicable. It is applicable only if all factors remain constant. And the last one is expectations. Because expectations, depression in the case of emergencies or in this time, the law of demand is not applicable, because here the price increase in the price of quantity does not decrease the demand of a product. Here they have the expectation that in future the price will increase or decrease. So these are the 6 factors that are exceptions. The law of demand is not applicable. First is given goods or inferior goods. Next is web-blend goods or luxurious goods, essential goods. Other factors are not constant, and expectation. In all these factors, the law of demand is not applicable, because here increase in demand does not cause increase in price does not cause decrease in demand. This is all about law of demand. First, we discuss about what is demand, then law of demands, and also the assumptions, reasons for the law of demand, and the demand schedule and demand curve, and last about the limitations or exceptions of law of demand. The next part is elasticity of demand. What is that? It is the elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? Here it means the percentage change in demand due to percentage change in the determinants of demand. What is that? It is the percentage change in demand due to what? Due to percentage change in the any one of the demand determinants. This is called elasticity of demand. Here, whatever changes happens in the determinants, it will affect the demand of a product. Then it is called elasticity of demand. The equation is percentage change in demand divided by percentage change in demand determinants. Demand determinants includes price, income, taste, etc. are the demand determinants. Okay. Next is types of elasticity of demand. What are the types of elasticity of demand? There are mainly 4 types. It includes price elasticity, income elasticity, advertisement elasticity, and cross elasticity. These are the 4 main types of elasticity of demand. First one is, what is price elasticity? What is that? It is the change in the quantity demanded due to change in the price of a product. What is that? It is a change in demand due to change in the price of a product is called price elasticity. So price is the one of the determinant of demand. And all other factors like income, taste, etc., price of other related goods are constant. Here, the only factor that changes price, and all other factors are constant. So the price elasticity is calculated using the formula percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. So it is a relationship between price and the quantity demanded. Next is the types of degree of price elasticity. There are mainly 5 degrees of price elasticity. And the first one is perfectly elastic demand. What is that? It is the perfectly elastic demand. Here, the demand for a product changes infinitely due to small change in price. If the price of the product is there occurs a small change in the price of the product, but the demand changes infinitely. Then it is called perfectly elastic demand. In horizontal straight line, what is the demand curve shows horizontal straight line. So perfectly inelastic demand means demand of a product changes infinitely due to small change in the price of a product. The price elasticity is infinite and the demand curve is horizontal straight line. And the second one is perfectly inelastic demand or zero elasticity. Perfectly inelastic or zero elasticity. Here, whatever may be the changes in the price of the product, but the demand does not affect. The demand of a product does not affect any change in the price of a product. Here, the elasticity is zero. It is in the case of essential goods. Whatever may be the price changes, but it does not affect the demand of a product. So here the elasticity is zero. And the demand curve is vertical straight line. The demand curve is vertical straight line. And the third one is unit elasticity. It means unit elasticity. It is the it is a change in the quantity demand is equal to proportionate change in the quantity demand is equal to or same as the proportionate change in the price. So both changes are same. That is proportionate change in the quantity demanded is equal to or same as the proportionate change in the price of a product. For example, the price changes to 5%, the demand also changes to 5%. So the both are proportionate are same, then it is called unit elasticity. Here, the EP equal to other price elasticity equal to 1. And the demand curve of this unit elasticity is rectangular hyperbola. What is that? It is the rectangular hyperbola. And the fourth one is relatively elastic demand. Here, the change in demand is more than proportionate to the change in the price of a product. You have to remember that more than proportionate means relatively elastic demand. For example, if the change in the price is 5%, then change in the demand goes 10% because it is more than proportionate. Here, the price elasticity is greater than 1 and the demand curve is flatter. So, demand curve shows flatter. And in the last case, that is relatively inelastic demand. Here, change in demand is less than proportionate to change in the price of a product. Less than proportionate in means inelastic demand. Here, the price elasticity is less than 1 and the demand curve is steeper. So, there are mainly 5 types of price elasticity. The first one is perfectly elastic. Here, a small change in price cause infinite demand of a product and the elasticity is infinity and the demand curve is horizontal straight line. The case of inelastic demand, the elasticity is 0 and the demand curve is vertical straight line. In unit elasticity is equal same proportionate change and the elasticity is 1 and the demand curve is rectangular hyperbola. And the fourth case, in case of elastic demand, it is more than proportionate and the EP equal to greater than 1 and the demand curve is flatter. And in the case of inelastic demand, it is less than proportionate and the EP is less than 1 and the demand curve is steeper. These are the degrees of price elasticity. Next is the measurement of price elasticity. How to measure? There are mainly three methods to measure the price elasticity. And the first one is point elasticity method or percentage method. What is that? It is the point elastic method or percentage method. Here the equation is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. And the next method is total expenditure method. And this method is measured by comparing total expenditure on the commodity before and after the price change, because it is a comparison method of before and after the price change. And it is obtained by multiplying price into quantity demanded. So here the equation is price into quantity demanded. And the last method is arc elasticity or average elasticity method. Here it is used to measure the elasticity of demand between 2 points on a demand curve. So you have to take the average of these 2 points. Here the equation is Q minus Q1 divided by P minus P1 into P plus P1 divided by Q plus Q1. And the Q is the original quantity and the Q1 is the new quantity. And the P is the original price and P1 is the new price. So average of this is called arc elasticity. So these are the three methods to measure the price elasticity of elasticity. That is point elasticity method, total expenditure and arc elasticity. Moving on to next type, that is income elasticity. Here it is the same as that of the price elasticity, but the only change is income instead of price. The only change is that income instead of price. So what is that? It is the change in the demand of a product due to change in the income of a consumer. What cause changes? Change in the income of a consumer cause change in the demand of a product. Here there are three types of income elasticity. And first one is positive, negative and zero income elasticity. The first one is positive income elasticity of demand. Here, demand of a product increases with the increase in the income of a consumer. What is that? Increases with the increase. Here, that is why it is said positive. Increases with increase in the income of a, increasing the demand cause increases the income of a product and income of a consumer, and decreases with the decrease in the income of a consumer. So it is called positive income elasticity. That is, demand for a product increases with the increase in the income of consumer and decreases with the decrease in the income of consumer. That is direct relationship between demand and consumer's income. So it is called positive elasticity. So it is applicable in the case of normal goods. So the elasticity of normal good is positive. Next is the classification of positive income elasticity. The same as that of the price elasticity, that is unit income elasticity of demand. Here, the proportionate change is equal to proportionate change in the quantity demanded is equal to proportionate change in income. That is equal to 1. More than unit income elasticity of demand means change in the demand is more than proportionate to change in income. Here, the only difference is income instead of price. And the third one is less than unit income elasticity of demand. Here, the proportionate change is, quantity demand is less than proportionate change in income. So, three types: unit, more than unit, and less than unit. Next is negative income elasticity of demand. The name itself shows that it is a negative relationship between demand and consumer's income. Here, demand of a product decreases with the increase in the consumer's income. So, if the income of a the price income of a consumer increases, then the demand of a particular product decreases. It is applicable in the case of inferior goods or given goods. Here, the income elasticity is negative because here, that what is that? It is the inverse relation or negative relationship between demand and consumer's income. And the third one is zero income elasticity of demand. Here, that's change in income of the consumer does not affect the demand of a product. And here the elasticity is 0. And these for the example is essential goods. In the case of essential goods, change in the consumer's income does not affect the demand of a product. These are the three types of income elasticity. Positive, it's positive in the it is applicable normal goods, negative for inferior goods, and zero elasticity for essential goods. Next is cross elasticity. Here, what is cross elasticity? It is the change in the quantity, percentage change in the quantity demanded of one product due to change in the price of another product. It is related to two products. Cross means two. Cross elasticity means it is a concept of two products. What is change in the price of one product cause change in the demand of another product. This substitution effect. This is applicable in the case of substitution goods and complementary goods. Here, change in the price of one product cause change in the demand of another product. For example, tea and coffee. If change, if the price of the tea increases, it will the demand of the coffee will increase, and vice versa. Here, change in the price of one product cause change in the change in the demand of another product. So it is called cross elasticity. The equation is percentage change in the demand of commodity X divided by percentage change in the price of commodity Y. Here it says about two products. The case of income elasticity and price elasticity, this in the case of only one product, but in the case of cross elasticity, it describes about two products, because change in the quantity demand of one product cause change in the change in the price of one product cause change in the demand of another product. That is cross elasticity. Here there are two methods to measure the cross elasticity, that is point elasticity method or percentage method. Equation is percentage change in the demand of product X divided by percentage change in the price of product Y. Here change in one demand of one product and price of another product. That is cross elasticity. And the second method is arc elasticity and average elasticity method. Here the equation is the average of both new and all prices are taken, and the equation is Qx2 minus Qx1 divided by Py2 minus Py1 into Py1 plus Py2 divided by Qx1 plus Qx2. Here what is Qx2? It is the present demand and Qx1 is the original demand, and Py1 is the original price and Py2 is the present price. So these are the two methods to measure the cross elasticity. Next is types of cross elasticity. Here also three types. The first one is positive cross elasticity. The example is here the substitute goods. In the case of substitute goods, the cross elasticity is positive. So what is that? In the case of substitute goods, the cross elasticity is positive. For example, increase in the price of a tea cause increase in the demand of a coffee. Here, the cross elasticity is positive. And the second case, that is negative cross elasticity. It is applicable in the case of complementary goods. Here, the cross elasticity is negative because proportionate increase in the price of one product leads to proportionate fall in the demand of another product. For example, petrol and car. Increase in the price of one product has decrease in the demand of that another product. So the cross elasticity is negative in the case of complementary goods. And the last one is zero cross elasticity. Here it happens when the two goods are unrelated to each other. Because they are not related to each other, then the elasticity is zero. For example, increase in the price of a car does not affect the demand of the cloth because the car and cloth has no relation. So it does not affect the increase in the price of a car. So here there are three types of cross elasticity: positive, negative, and zero. In the case of positive elasticity, the substitute goods included. Negative, it is complementary goods, and zero, here the when two goods are not related, that is unrelated to each other. And the last type is advertisement elasticity. What is that? It is advertisement elasticity. It is same as that of the price and income elasticity. The only change is advertisement expenditure. It is also known as promotional elasticity. The other name of this advertisement elasticity is promotional elasticity. It is a degree of responsiveness of demand to change in advertisement expenditure. That is percentage change in quantity demanded due to percentage change in advertisement expenditure of a product. Here also there are two methods to measure the advertisement elasticity. The same as that of the other, that is point elasticity method or percentage method. Here the equation is percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in advertisement expenditure. And the second one is arc elasticity or average elasticity method. Here the equation is Q2 minus Q1 divided by A2 minus A1 into A2 plus A1 divided by Q2 plus Q1. What is the A1 denotes original advertisement expenditure and A2 denotes present advertisement expenditure. Q1 denotes original quantity and Q2 shows present quantity. So this is the advertisement elasticity and its measurement. This is all about the elasticity. There are four types, that is price, income, cross elasticity, and advertisement elasticity. And the next part is relationship between average revenue AR and marginal revenue. What's that? Relationship between marginal revenue and average revenue. What is average revenue? Average revenue, it is the revenue earned by an organization by selling a unit of their product or service. By selling a unit of their product or service is called average revenue. What is marginal revenue? It is the income that an organization can avail by selling an additional unit of the product or service. The average revenue is the revenue availed by selling a unit of the product or service, and the marginal revenue is the income or revenue availed by selling an additional unit of the product or service. Then move on to the relationship between average revenue and marginal revenue. Here, there are four cases. In the first case, when average revenue rises, marginal revenue rises more than average revenue. In the first case, but what is that? Average revenue rises. Then marginal revenue also rises, but more than average revenue. So the relationship is marginal revenue is greater than average revenue. So in the first case, when average revenue rises, marginal revenue is greater than average revenue. In the second case, when the average revenue is constant and maximum, then what happens? Average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. What is that? Average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. And in the third case, when average revenue falls, marginal revenue falls more than average revenue. What is that? If average revenue falls, then the relationship is marginal revenue is less than average revenue because it falls more than average revenue. And the last case, average revenue can be zero, but it never be negative. But marginal revenue can be negative. These are the four main cases of relationship between average revenue and marginal revenue. In the first case, average revenue increases, the marginal revenue is greater than average revenue. It is constant. Average revenue is equal to marginal revenue. When our average revenue falls, marginal revenue less than average revenue, and average revenue can be zero but never be negative. But marginal revenue can be negative. This is the main relationship between average revenue and marginal revenue. This is the next part of this syllabus, that is utility. What is utility? It is a total satisfaction or benefit derived from consuming a particular product or services. It means one satisfying power of a product is called utility. It is a total satisfaction or benefit derived from consuming a product or service is called utility. These are the terms included in the utility, that is cardinal utility, ordinal utility, marginal utility, total utility, average utility, etc. So, what is utility? It is a one satisfying capacity of a commodity or service, or it is a total satisfaction or benefit derived from consuming a goods or service. It is a psychological phenomenon and it is subjective in nature because it differs from person to persons. The next is ordinal utility. What is ordinal utility? Here it is related to the concept that one good being more useful or desirable than another because it is a comparison method. In cardinal utility, it is not measured in monetary terms. Cardinal utility is not measured in monetary terms because it is only the comparison of which product is or service is good. It is also called a ranking method because people rank according to the preference of level of satisfaction. So it is not measured in unitary terms. It is only making comparison of one product with another product. That is ordinal utility. In the case of cardinal utility, it is measured in unitary terms because it is measured in cardinal numbers. What is cardinal numbers? It is called 1, 2, 3. So here the cardinal utility is measured in cardinal numbers. And it is the using what measure? It is the idea of measuring economic value through imaginary unit called utils. Here the imaginary units of utils can be used to calculate the cardinal utility. And the next one is marginal utility. It means the additional utility from the consumption of additional unit of a commodity. What is that? Additional utility gained by consuming additional unit of a product or service. It is called marginal utility. And the next one is total utility. Here it is the total psychological satisfaction a consumer obtained from consuming a particular product. What is that? It is a total satisfaction, total psychological satisfaction from consuming all the units, from all units of consumption is called total utility. And the last term is average utility. This used to determine the total unit of consumption of goods divided by number of total units. What is that? Total units of consumption of goods divided by number of total units, then you will get the average utility. These are the main concepts related to utility. What is that? First is cardinal utility, ordinal utility, marginal utility, total utility, and average utility. Next is the last part of this, that is consumer behavior. Here, the theory of consumer behavior has two basic approaches, that is cardinal utility approach and ordinal utility approach. What are these? Two approaches of consumer behavior is cardinal utility approach and ordinal utility approach. What is cardinal utility approach? It is measured in monetary terms. So here it is measured in used cardinal numbers. Cardinal number means 1, 2, 3. So here the util is an imaginary unit that is used to measure the cardinal utility. And it is this cardinal utility has two fundamental laws. that was developed under this cardinal utility approach. And these laws are law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility. The two laws are come under cardinal utility approach, that is law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equimarginal utility. First law is law of diminishing marginal utility. Here, the law is also known as Gauss's first law of consumption. What is that? Gauss's first law of consumption. Here, what this law states that the law states that consumers go consuming more and more units of a particular product, then what happens? Their marginal utility will goes on decreasing or diminishing. What is that? Law of equimarginal utility says that, law of diminishing marginal utility states that consumers consuming more and more unit of a particular product, then their utility will go diminishing or decreasing. It is also known as first law of Gauss's first law of consumption. Here, these are the main assumptions of diminishing marginal utility. First one is that the consumers are rational. And the second one is it is measured in this cardinal utility because it is measured in cardinal numbers. And the third one is the product is homogeneous. And the next one is continuity because it is one of the main aspect of marginal utility, because if there is an interval happens between the consumption of a successive unit, then diminishing marginal utility is not applicable. So the continuity of consumption is very important in the case of diminishing marginal utility. And the last assumption is no change in the income, taste, price, etc. of the goods, because the change in the no change in income, taste, and also no change in the price of the commodity and its related goods, because all remains constant. When all these assumptions are fulfilled, then only the law of diminishing marginal utility is fulfilled. So once more, the assumptions are rational customers, cardinal utility, homogeneous product, continuity, no change in the income, taste, and no change in the price of the commodity and related goods. These are the main assumptions of law of diminishing marginal utility. But it is not always applicable, and there are some limitations or exceptions to the law of marginal utility. What are they? It is not applicable to the rare collections. What are the rare collections? Means the stamp collection, coin collection, painting collection. These are the rare collections. But this law is not applicable because here the marginal utility not decreasing because it increases. So here in the case of rare collection and in the case of money, law of diminishing marginal utility is not applicable because in this case marginal utility will increases, not decreases. And the third one is it is not applicable if the interval of time between consumption of different units of product, because the main assumption is there is a continuity in the consumption of product. If there any interval happens between this consumption, then law of diminishing marginal utility is not applicable. So these are the main exceptions, that is rare collection, money, and interval are the limitations of law of diminishing marginal utility. And the next is the second law, that is law of equimarginal utility. What is that? Law of equimarginal utility. This idea is first mentioned by H. Gaussen, and hence it is called Gauss's second law of consumption. What is that? Gauss's second law of consumption. The other name of this law is law of substitution. What is that? Law of substitution. And it was popularized by the scientist Alfred Marshall. This law was popularized by Alfred Marshall. So the other name of this law, Gauss's second law of consumption of law of substitution. Next is what this law says about. This law explains the behavior of a consumer. What this law explains? It explains the behavior of a consumer when he consumes more than one commodity. What's that? This law states that it explains the behavior of a consumer when he consumes more than one unit of a more than one commodity. Here the assumptions are is and the wants are limited and the income unlimited and the income is limited. The limited income of the person, the consumer is limited and his wants and desires are unlimited, but his income is limited. So this law explains how the consumer spend his limited income. What is that? How the consumer spend his limited income on various commodities to get maximum satisfaction. What is that? It explains the behavior of consumer when he consumes more than one commodity. So his wants are unlimited and his income is limited. So this law explains how the consumer spend his limited income on various commodities to get maximum satisfaction. This is law of equal marginal utility. Next is assumptions. What are the assumptions? No change in the price of goods. And the income is fixed or limited. And the marginal utility of money is constant. And the fourth one is law of marginal utility. That is income limited, no change in the price of the product, marginal utility is constant. Applicable. Cardinal utility approach. And the second approach is ordinal utility approach. The ordinal utility means it is not measured in monetary terms and rank the preference according to the level of satisfaction. They compare which one is better than the other product. Here it says about the indifference curve analysis. It is come under the ordinal utility. That is indifference curve analysis. What is indifference curve analysis or indifference curve? Indifference curve. It is a graphical representation of combined products. That is two products in various quantities that gives equal level of satisfaction to the consumers. That is it is the graphical representation of two products, the combination of two products in various, the quantity is different. That give, but the satisfaction given to the consumer is equal. Whatever the quantity, but the satisfaction is equal. So it is a graphical representation of combination of two products in various quantity, but the satisfaction is equal to the, it gives equal satisfaction to the customer. So it is called indifference curve. Next is properties of indifference curve. The first one is it is downward slope. That means it is a negative slope. The second one is it is convex to the origin. That means it doesn't touch the x-axis and y-axis. So it is convex to the origin. And the third one is higher indifference curve represent higher satisfaction. And lower indifference curve represent lower satisfaction. And the fourth one is it never intersect each other. What is that? It never intersect each other. These are the four main properties of indifference curve. That is downward sloping, convex to the origin, higher indifference curve represent higher satisfaction, and it will never intersect each other. These are the main properties of indifference curve. The next term is indifference map. Indifference map. This is the diagram of indifference map. It is the set of indifference curve. That is, there is three indifference curve. So it is called indifference map. It is the different set of indifference curve. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third. So here is a set of indifference curve is called indifference map. The other term related to this is marginal rate of substitution. What is that? Marginal rate of substitution. What is that? It is the rate at which one good is substitute for another. What is one good substitute for another? But the condition is that without changing the level of satisfaction. That is that without changing the level of satisfaction. The satisfaction remains the same, but one's good substitute the another. For example, if orange substitute the apple, but the level of satisfaction given to the consumer is same. So that is the rate at which one good is substitute for another without changing the level of satisfaction. That is marginal rate of substitution. The last one is that budget line. That is, what is budget line? It shows all combination of two products. What is it? It shows all combination of two products that a consumer can purchase. It is the all combination of two products that a consumer can purchase, even his income and market price of a product. Because consumer can purchase with his income and market price of all combination of two products. That is called budget line. It is the combination of two products. All combination of two products that consumer can purchase with his income and market price of a product. It is called budget line. So in the case of consumer behavior, there are two approaches, cardinal utility approach and ordinal utility approach. In cardinal utility approach, there are two laws are there. That is law of diminishing marginal utility and law of equal marginal utility. And the case of ordinal utility, it includes indifference curve analysis and utility analysis. That is, indifference curve means it is a graphical representation of combination of two products in various quantities that give equal satisfaction to the consumer, because the product is a different combination and various quantities, but the level of satisfaction is equal. And the indifference map is the set of indifference curve is called indifference map. The marginal rate of substitution is the rate at which one good is a substitute for another without changing the level of satisfaction. And the last is budget line. Here it shows all combination of two products that a consumer can purchase given his income and market price. These are all about the syllabus. Then the second part is move on to the previous year's questions. Slide കാണാവോ?
കാണാം മാം.
കാണാമോ?
കാണാം മിസ് കാണാം.
Questions കാണാമോ?
കാണാം.
So answer പറയണേ. The first question is, consider the following statement. One is, business economics is a special branch of economics applied in business decision making. And the second statement is, the nature of business economics is applied, not theoretical. And the third one is, the nature of business economics based on microeconomy. These are the three statements. You have to say that which one is correct. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 and 1 only. Option 3, 2 only. And option D, 1, 2 and 3. So what is the answer? Anyone, please answer.
B.
What? I didn't hear. What
Fourth
is
one.
that? Fourth one. That's answer is fourth one because it is the branch of economics used in decision making. It is applicable. It is not theoretical and it is based on microeconomics. So the answer is D. Next is second question. The change in quantity demanded of a commodity due to change in its own price. Other things remains constant is called first cross price effect, second price effect, third income effect and substitution effect. So what is the answer?
Ma'am, slide moving അല്ലേ?
Moving അല്ലേ?
Okay.
കാണാവോ? Second
കാണാം ma'am.
question. In the answer. What's the answer?
Price effect.
Price effect. The answer is B. Price effect. This is the third question. കാണാവോ?
കാണാം ma'am.
The price elasticity of demand is used to determine whether the product is an inferior or normal good, it is a necessity or luxury, two products as substitute or complement, and price and total revenue are directly or inversely related. What's the answer? Cross price elasticity. Anyone?
C.
So, yes, option C is the correct answer. That two products are substitute or complement. The answer is option C. ഇത് കാണാവോ? Question 4 കാണാമോ?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is statement 1. That is complementary goods will have positive price elasticity, and statement 2, substitute goods will have negative cross price elasticity. So choose the correct option. Statement 1 is correct and 2 is incorrect. 1 is incorrect and 2 is correct. Both are correct and both are incorrect. What is your answer? What is the answer? No answer. Anyone?
മാം ആ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കാണുന്നില്ല സ്ലൈഡിൽ.
കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ലേ? Okay.
ഇപ്പൊ കാണാം.
കാണാമോ?
ഇപ്പൊ കാണാം.
Answer പറയൂ. What's the answer?
Both statement 1 and 2 are incorrect.
Okay, the answer is both statement 1 and 2 are incorrect. ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കാണാവോ? ഫിഫ്ത്ത് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ.
കാണാം.
The traditional theory of demand deals with investment goods, consumption goods, intermediary goods, complementary and substitute goods. So what is the right answer? Option A, B, C or D? What is the correct answer?
Option D, consumption goods and complementary and substitute goods.
Option D or
D.
D or C or D?
D.
2 and 4.
Yes, miss.
Yes. That's the correct answer because it is deals with the consumption goods and complementary and substitute goods. ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കാണാം അവിടെ. സിക്സ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ കാണാം.
ഇല്ല, ഫിഫ്തിൽ തന്നെ കിടക്കുന്നത്. സിക്സ് കാണുന്നില്ല.
ആണല്ലേ.
ഇപ്പൊ കാണാം.
Which one of the following is not the basic property of indifference curve? The first is it has negative slope, and the second one is imperfect substitute are concave to the origin. The third one is do not intersect, and the fourth one is upper indifference curve indicate higher level of satisfaction. So what is the correct option? It's not the basic property of indifference curve. So what is the correct answer?
Option B.
Option
B.
B. Okay, option B is the correct answer because it is convex to the origin. It is not concave to the origin. So the second one is not the basic property of indifference curve. The right answer is B. Okay. And this is the next question that match the following. List 1 with list 2. Here, if elasticity is equal to 1, greater than 1 and less than 1, and the list 2, that is comfort goods, necessity goods and luxury goods. Here, the correct match the following. Which option is correct? Match the following. What is the correct option?
Option C.
Option C.
C.
Option C is the correct answer. Okay. That is UI equal to 1 means comfort goods. UI greater than 1 means luxurious good. UI less than 1 is necessity goods. ഇത് കാണാമോ ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ?
ഇല്ല മിസ്, കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. ഇപ്പം കാണാം.
Here Though this also the match the following question. Cardinal utility, ordinary utility, marginal utility, and total utility. So choose the correct code.
Ma'am, option C.
Option C. That means cardinal utility is expressed in exact unit.
Exact unit.
Ordinary
Ordinal expressed in rank. Marginal utility additional consumption one. In a total utility, third one.
Okay, very good. And moving on to next question. In economics, desire backed by purchasing power is known as utility, demand, consumption, scarcity. What's the answer?
Demand.
Demand. Option B, demand is the answer. So the next question is, law of diminishing marginal utility applies to drunkards, misers, stamp collectors, and none of the above. What is the right option?
D.
D. That is none of the above. This question is, higher the price of luxurious articles, higher will be the demand. So this concept is called Giffen effect, Veblen effect, demonstration effect, both B and C. What's the answer?
Veblen effect.
Veblen effect, option B. Okay. The next is, the consumer attain his or her equilibrium at the point where total utility equal to price, marginal utility greater than price, and less than price, and marginal utility equal to price. So what is the right one?
Option D.
Option D. That is marginal utility is equal to price. Next question is, what is the indifference curve for perfect substitute goods? Downward sloping curve, straight line with negative slope, right angular angle, and the rectangular hyperbola. Which one is that? Indifference curve is a what's the right answer?
Straight line with negative slope.
No, that's not the answer. What's the right answer?
Downward sloping curve.
Okay, downward. Sorry. The right answer is straight line with negative slope. And the next question is, the demand curve is dash representation of a demand schedule. Demand curve slopes dashward from left to right. It is a dash representation and dash word from left to right. The option A, graphical down, down graphical up, and schedule up.
A.
A, that is graphical representation and downward from left to right. The option A is the right answer. What is the best express the law of diminishing marginal utility? The first one is more a person consume a product, the smaller become the utility. More I consume a product, the smaller became the additional unity. The third one is less the person consume a product, the smaller become the utility, and the less the consumer, the smaller become the additional unity, which he received from consuming an additional unit of a product. What's the answer? Best express the law of diminishing marginal utility. What's the answer?
B.
Option B is the correct answer. And the next question is, which one of the following is not the assumption for consumer behavior based on the cardinal utility approach? That is, maximization of satisfaction, utility cardinally measurable, diminishing marginal utility of money, and utility is additive. Which one is not the assumption of consumer behavior?
C.
Option C, that is diminishing marginal utility of money. So, the next question is, when an average revenue is constant, the marginal revenue is more than average revenue, less than average revenue, equal to average revenue, and equal to 0. Which option is correct?
Equal to average revenue.
That is option C. The next question is, an indifference curve is always vertical straight line, convex to the origin, concave to the origin, horizontal straight line.
B.
Option B, that is convex to the origin. And the last question, that is, this is the last question. Here, in certain situation, more of a commodity is purchased with a rise in price and less of it will fall in price. And the reason is, exception to law of demand occurs in case of status symbol goods, inferior or given goods. Option A, both A and R are correct. R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are correct, but R is not the correct explanation. A is correct, but R is not correct. A is wrong and R is correct. So what is the right answer? What's the right answer?
Option A.
Option A, because both A and R are correct and R is the correct explanation of A. So these are about the previous year questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
ആർക്കെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ may ask now.
നെക്സ്റ്റ് സെഷൻ തുടങ്ങാറായോ?
ഓ തുടങ്ങാറായി.
മിസ് ഇപ്പൊ ജോയിൻ ആകും. മിസ്സിനെ ഇപ്പൊ വിളിച്ചതേ ഉള്ളൂ.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു. അപ്പൊ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ എനിക്ക് മെയിൽ ചെയ്യുകയോ വിളിക്കുകയോ ചെയ്താൽ മതി കേട്ടോ. PPT
Okay,
ഷെയർ
ma'am.
ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ,
Thank you,
PPT.
ma'am. Thank you.
താങ്ക് യു.
Thank you for wonderful.
ഹലോ ഷാരോൺ, സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യാം.
Good evening. Good evening.
Okay, start again. Okay, good evening all. This is time to start our next second section. The section handled by Dr. Naja B, PTM Scholar, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala, dealing with the topic international business. So I would like to invite Dr. Naja B for taking the section. Ma'am, please. Hello, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening.
Audible ആണോ?
Yes, miss.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Audible ആണോ?
Yes,
Yes,
audible,
miss.
ma'am.
Okay. നമ്മൾ ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ബിസിനസിന്റെ ഒരു ഏരിയ ആണ് നമുക്കിവിടെ പഠിക്കാൻ പോകുന്നത്. റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ നിങ്ങളുടെ സിലബസിലുള്ളതാണ്. റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്താണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ പറയാൻ പോകുന്നത്. ഫസ്റ്റ് Okay. Today we will discussing about the topic regional economic integration. കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ ആരെങ്കിലും റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്താണെന്ന്? ഓഡിയബിൾ അല്ലേ? ഹലോ,
Ma'am, audible, ma'am.
okay. Regional economic integration means an agreement between group of countries in a geographical region to reduce and ultimately remove tariff and non-tariff barriers to the free flow of goods, services, and factors of production between each other. For example, is North American Free Trade Agreement, that is NAFTA. നമുക്കറിയാം റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് കൺട്രീസുകൾ കൂടി ചേർന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അവിടെ ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നു. എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ആ എഗ്രിമെന്റ് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നത് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവിടെ എന്താണ്, അവർക്ക് നല്ല ബാരിയേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ മാറ്റി ഫ്രീ ആയിട്ട് ട്രേഡ് നടക്കുക എന്ന ഉദ്ദേശമാണ്. അവിടെ ടാരിഫ് ആൻഡ് നോൺ ടാരിഫ് ബാരിയേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ മാറ്റിയിട്ട് എന്താണ്, ഗുഡ്സിന്റെ ഫ്ലോയ് അല്ലെ അത് സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക, സർവീസുകൾ സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക, ഫാക്ടേഴ്സ് ഓഫ് പ്രൊഡക്ഷൻ സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക എന്ന ഉദ്ദേശത്തോടു കൂടി കുറച്ച് രാജ്യങ്ങൾ, ഒരു റീജിയണിലെ കുറച്ച് ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് കൺട്രീസുകൾ ചേർന്ന് ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്ന ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ് ആണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. അതിൽ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആണ്, നല്ല ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആണ് നാഫ്റ്റ. നമ്മൾ എന്താണ് നാഫ്റ്റ എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് അങ്ങോട്ട് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാം. ഓക്കെ. Regional economic integration has enabled countries to focus on issues that are relevant to their strategic development as well as encourage trade between neighbors. This is the basic form of economic cooperation. കൺട്രീസിന്റെ ട്രേഡ് എഫക്റ്റീവ് ആക്കുക, അതിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, നൈബർ കൺട്രീസുകൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള ട്രേഡുകൾ സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതും എന്താണ്, ഈ ഒരു എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷനിൽ പ്രധാന എയിമുകളിൽ ഒന്നാണ്. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ഈ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കൺട്രീസുകൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ്, ഒരു കൂടിച്ചേരൽ, എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്, ട്രേഡ് സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക അല്ലെ, ടാരിഫ് ആൻഡ് നോൺ ട്രേഡിഫ് ബാരിയേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക, ടാരിഫ് ബാരിയേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ മാറ്റി എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക, ട്രേഡ് സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക എന്ന് പറയും. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ ആ ഒരു പർപ്പസിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ കുറച്ച് നമുക്കുണ്ട്, അതൊന്നും നമുക്ക് പരിചയപ്പെടാം. അതിൽ കുറച്ചൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാനും ഉണ്ട്. എടുത്ത് ഓരോന്നും ഹലോ
Ma'am, I am from Telangana. I don't understand this Malayalam. Can you please explain in English? Hello.
Okay.
This explanation, can you give in English?
Okay.
I don't understand this.
Audible? Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Some important regional economic integrations are SAC, ASE and ASEAN, APEZ, EU Economic Union, NAFTA, and SAFTA. Okay. Some important regional economic integrations are SAC, SAARC, SAC, ASEAN, APEZ, then EU Economic Union, and NAFTA, NAFTA, and SAFTA, SAFTA. Types of regional economic integration. There are 4 types of regional economic integration. First one is free trade area. This is the most basic form of economic cooperation. Free trade area is the most economic form of basic form of economic cooperation. Member countries remove all barriers to trade between themselves. Member countries remove all barriers to trade between themselves, but are free to independent determine trade policy with non-member nations. For example, NAFTA. That means each country determine its own external trade policy. Free trade area means each country determine its own trade policy. Okay. Free trade area means each countries determine its own external trade policy. Another type is customs union. This type provide of economic cooperation as in a free trade zone. Barriers to trade are removed between member countries. The primary difference from the free trade area is that members agree to treat trade with non-member countries in a similar manner. That means customs union has common external tariff. That means customs union has common external tariff, which is in the case of trade area, the free trade area does not external trade barrier. Okay, each country determine its own external policy, trade policy, but customs union has common external tariff. Common market is the another type of regional economic integration. First one is free trade area. Second one is customs union. And third one is common market. This type of regional economic integration allows for the creation of economically integrated market between the member countries. Then trade barriers are removed without any restrictions on the movement of labor, then capital between the member countries like custom union. Okay, like custom union. There is no common trade policy for trade with non-member nations. The primary advantage of common market is the workers is that they know the need.
മാം ഇടയ്ക്ക് മലയാളത്തിൽ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യുന്ന കുറച്ച് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ബെനിഫിറ്റ് ആയിരുന്നു ഇടയ്ക്ക്. ഓക്കെ.
അപ്പം ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ഏരിയ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ്? അതിന് എന്താണ് ഓരോ കൺട്രിക്കും എന്താണ് അതിന് ഒരു എക്സ്റ്റേണൽ ട്രേഡ് പോളിസി ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ. കസ്റ്റം യൂണിയൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അവിടെ എന്താണ് കോമൺ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇപ്പൊ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് അല്ല പുറത്തുനിന്നുള്ള കൺട്രീസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലും എന്താണ് അവിടെ എക്സ്റ്റേണൽ ടാരിഫ് മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം കോമൺ ആയിരിക്കും എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അതിന്റെ വ്യത്യാസം. കോമൺ മാർക്കറ്റ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് ഇവിടെ എന്താണ് ഇതിന്റെ മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള പ്രൈമറി അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് to workers is that they no longer need a visa or work permit to work in another member country of a common market. അതായത് എന്താണ് അവിടെ ഉള്ള ആ ഒരു മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസിന് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, അവരുടെ സ്മൂത്ത് ആയിട്ടുള്ള റണ്ണിങ്ങിന് വേണ്ടി ട്രേഡ് സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കുക, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അവരുടെ ജോബ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസ് മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ സ്മൂത്ത് ആക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, വർക്ക് പെർമിറ്റ് വിസയ്ക്കൊക്കെ എന്താണ് ലിമിറ്റേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അതായത് അവരുടെ റൂൾസ് ഒക്കെ ഭയങ്കര ലിബറൽ ആയിട്ട് കൊടുക്കുന്നു. മെമ്പേഴ്സ് അല്ലാത്ത കൺട്രിയുമായി തന്നെ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡിൽ ഏർപ്പെടുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഈ കോമൺ ട്രേഡ് മാർക്കറ്റിന്റെ അത് ഒരു an example of common market for eastern and southern Africa. അത് COMES. ഈ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക, അത് എക്സാമിന് കോട്ട് ചെയ്ത് എഴുതാൻ ചോദിക്കും. കോമൺ മാർക്കറ്റിന് എക്സാമ്പിൾ ആയിട്ട് വരുന്ന ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നാഫ്റ്റയ്ക്ക് എക്സാമ്പിൾ, സോറി പിന്നെ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ഏരിയക്ക് എക്സാമ്പിൾ, കസ്റ്റം യൂണിയനിന് എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഏതാണ്, കോമൺ മാർക്കറ്റിന് എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ഇതൊക്കെ ആ ഒരു മീനിങ്ങുമായിട്ട് കണക്ട് ചെയ്ത് പഠിച്ചാൽ മാത്രമേ നമുക്കത് ആൻസർ ചെയ്താൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. The primary advantage to workers is that there is no longer need a visa or work permit to work in another member country of a common market. That's an example of is the common market for Eastern and Southern Africa. Eastern and Southern Africa. That means in the short form COMESA. നോട്ട് ചെയ്യുക. സ്ലൈഡ് മാറ്റാമോ? Last point is economic union. This type of economic integration is created when countries enter into an economic agreement to remove barriers to trade and adopt common economic policies. For example, European Union. എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാതെ അല്ലേ? ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ യൂറോപ്യൻ, അതായത് എക്കണോമിക് കോപ്പറേഷനും എന്താണ്, ഒരു എക്കണോമിക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള കോപ്പറേഷൻ, ഒരു എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ. The type of economic integration, അല്ലേ, is created when countries enter into the economic agreement. Here, they specify the economic integration is the important one in the economic union. When countries enter into the economic agreement to remove barriers to trade and adopt common economic policies. ഇവിടെ മറ്റേത് ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ആ ഒരു രീതിയാണെങ്കിൽ ഇവിടെ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ ആണ് എഗ്രിമെന്റുമായിട്ട് റിലേറ്റഡ് ആയിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. ഏറ്റവും വലിയ എക്സാമ്പിൾ അല്ലെ, എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഇസ് എക്കണോമിക് യൂണിയൻ ഇസ് എ ബെസ്റ്റ് എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഓഫ് എക്കണോമിക് union is the best example. Is European Union is the best example of the economic union. Sorry, European Union is the best example of the economic union. Okay. Pros and advantages and disadvantages of economic agreement. First one is trade creation. First year students, okay, ഈ ടേമുകളൊക്കെ നന്നായിട്ട് അറിയാമെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാം. എനിക്കും ഫസ്റ്റ് ഇയർ students. Trade creation, employment opportunities, and concessions and corporations are the main advantages of regional economic agreement. Trade creation. Flow are redirected due to the formation of a free trade area or customs union. That is trade creation. ട്രേഡിനും ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റിനും വേണ്ട എല്ലാ ബാരിയേഴ്സും റിവ്യൂ ചെയ്ത് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, കൺട്രീസിന് വേണ്ട രീതിയിൽ ട്രേഡ് പോസിബിൾ ആക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ട്രേഡ് ക്രിയേഷൻ ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചത്. ഫ്ലോ ആർ redirected due to the formation of free trade area or custom union. That is trade creation. Then second advantages is employment opportunities. Employment opportunities means create employment, labor movement in restrictions, remove the restrictions in the area of labor movement. Okay, create more job opportunities. That is the employment opportunities. And last one is consensus and corporations. That means member countries എന്താണ് മറ്റ് സ്മോൾ കൺട്രീസുമായിട്ട് ജോയിൻ ചെയ്ത് സ്മൂത്ത് ആയിട്ട് ട്രേഡ് പോസിബിൾ ആക്കുക, പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ കോപ്പറേഷൻസ് കൂടുതൽ സഹായിക്കുന്നു മറ്റൊതുമായിട്ടുള്ള അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളാണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് കോപ്പറേഷൻസ് എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. നെക്സ്റ്റ് വൺ അതിന്റെ ഡിസഡ്വാൻറ്റേജസ് ആണ് ട്രേഡ് ഡൈവേർഷൻ അല്ലെ, ഡൈവേർഷൻ it is a side, one important side of trade creation. Trade diversion is the important side of trade creation. അവിടെ എന്താണ് മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസുകൾ തമ്മിൽ ട്രേഡ് നടക്കുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് അതായത് മോർ എഫിഷ്യൻസി ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെമ്പേഴ്സിൽ നിന്നും ലെസ് എഫിഷ്യൻസി ആയിട്ടുള്ള മെമ്പേഴ്സിലേക്ക് ട്രേഡിനെ ഡൈവേർട്ട് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ അതെന്താണ് നെഗറ്റീവ് ഡിസഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് ആയിട്ട് നമുക്ക്. Then divert trade to more efficient person അല്ലെങ്കിൽ more efficient country to less efficient country. Then next one is employment shift, is the another one, on the basis of better job opportunities, wages, അതായത് എന്താ പറയാ ചീപ്പ് ലേബർ മാർക്കറ്റിലായിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, മാർക്കറ്റിനെ കൺവേർട്ടഡ് എഫിഷ്യന്റ് മാർക്കറ്റ് ഇൻ ടു ചീപ്പ് ലേബർ മാർക്കറ്റ്, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ലോ വേജസ്, ലെസ് ജോബ് ഓപ്പർച്യൂണിറ്റീസ്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ഉള്ള ഇത് വരുമ്പോൾ ആ റിസോഴ്സസ് എന്താണ്, ഏത് റിസോഴ്സസിനെ എന്താണ് നെഗറ്റീവായിട്ട് ബാധിക്കും. ഏത് റിസോഴ്സ് ആണ്, ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സസ് ആണോ അതോ മെറ്റീരിയൽ റിസോഴ്സിനെയാണോ ബാധിക്കുന്നത്? വിച്ച് റിസോഴ്സസ്? ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സ് അല്ലെ, റിസോഴ്സിനെ നെഗറ്റീവ് ആയിട്ട് ബാധിക്കുന്നത്. ദെൻ ലാസ്റ്റ് വൺ ഇസ് ലോസ് ഓഫ് നാഷണൽ സോവറിറ്റി. അപ്പം ന്യൂ എഗ്രിമെന്റ്സ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ന്യൂ ഡിസ്കഷൻസ് എന്താണ് causes due to the loss of national sovereignty. Then ASEAN, 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 full form is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. One question MCQ ആയിട്ട് ചോദിക്കാം, നെറ്റ് എക്സാമിന് ചോദിക്കാം. ASEAന്റെ ഫുൾ ഫോം. അപ്പം അസോസിയേഷൻ ഓഫ് സൗത്ത് ഈസ്റ്റ് ഏഷ്യൻ നേഷൻസ്. ഇതില് സ്പെല്ലിങ് തെറ്റാണ്, ഏഷ്യൻ ആണ് കേട്ടോ. ഏഷ്യൻ നേഷൻ ആണ് സ്പെല്ലിങ് അടിച്ചിട്ട് തെറ്റിപ്പോയത്. ഓക്കെ. It was established in Bangkok. എവിടെയാണ് എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തത്? ബാങ്കോക്ക്. It was established in Bangkok, BANGKOK. The member countries of ASEAN: Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. The member countries of ASEAN is Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Now, 10 member countries. Then another 5 is Vietnam, Brunei, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia. The important aims of ASEAN. The ASEAN was established on 8th August 1967. ഇതൊരു MCQ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണ്. ASEAN എന്നാണ് എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തത്? അപ്പം ASEAN was established on 8th August 1967. ASEAN was established on 8th August 1967. The main aims of ASEAN aims to promote intergovernmental cooperation. Aims to promote the intergovernmental cooperation, then economic, then security, then political, then educational, military, and socio-cultural integration among member countries and other countries in Asia. The important point is intergovernmental cooperation is the important point. ഗവൺമെന്റുകൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള ഒരു കോപ്പറേഷൻ അല്ലെ, ഒരു സഹകരണം ഉറപ്പുവരുത്തുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മറ്റ് ഏഷ്യൻ രാജ്യങ്ങളുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പരസ്പര ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻസ് അല്ലെ, പരസ്പര സഹകരണം. അത് ആ ഒരു എന്താ പറയാ, ഒരു ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ നടത്തുന്നത്. അത് എക്കണോമിക്കലായിട്ട്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ സെക്യൂരിറ്റിയുടെ കാര്യത്തിൽ, പൊളിറ്റിക്കലായിട്ട്, അത് എഡ്യൂക്കേഷണലായിട്ട്, മിലിറ്ററി ആയിട്ട്, അത് സോഷ്യോ കൾച്ചറൽ ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ, ഇതെല്ലാം എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്? പോസിബിൾ ആക്കുന്നുണ്ട് ASEAN. ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് പോയിന്റ് ചിലപ്പോൾ MCQ ചോദിക്കുന്ന ഇന്റർ ഗവൺമെന്റൽ കോപ്പറേഷൻസ് ഏത് ഇതുമായിട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിനകത്ത് കുറച്ച് ഓപ്ഷൻ കാണും. സാർക്ക് കാണും, ASEAN കാണും, ചിലപ്പോൾ എക്കണോമിക് യൂണിയൻ കാണും. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? അപ്പൊ അതിന്റെ കൂടെ ചിലപ്പോൾ മറ്റ് ചിലപ്പോൾ പൊളിറ്റിക്കൽ കുറച്ചുകൂടെ അത്. അപ്പൊ ആ ഒരു പോയിന്റ്സുകൾ, എയിംസിന്റെ മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എയിംസുകൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുക, നോട്ട് ചെയ്ത് വെച്ചേക്കുക. Aims to promote intergovernmental cooperations, economic security, then political, educational, military, and socio-cultural integration among member countries and other countries in Asia. In Asia. In Asia. Next, SARC. Audible ആണോ? Okay. SARC means South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. SARC S means South, A means Asian, then another A is Association for, then R is Regional, and C is Cooperation. Totally South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. SARC established. It was established in Dhaka, Bangladesh. ബംഗ്ലാദേശിലെ ഡാക്കയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ സാർക്ക് എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ്. SARC was established in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Established on 8th December 1985. Secretariat based on Kathmandu, Nepal. SARCിന്റെ സെക്രട്ടേറിയറ്റ് നേപ്പാളിലെ കാഠ്മണ്ഡുവിലാണ്. ഓക്കെ. അപ്പം അതിന്റെ ഡേറ്റ്, സാർക്ക് എന്ന് എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തു എന്നുള്ളത് ഒരു MCQ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ എവിടെയാണ് എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തത്, അതിന്റെ സെക്രട്ടേറിയറ്റ് എവിടെയാണ്, ഇത് മൂന്നും MCQ ഫോം വരാനുള്ള ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. 3 MCQ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഇവിടെ തന്നെയുണ്ട്. സാർക്കിന്റെ മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എയിംസുകൾ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്? SARC is a regional intergovernmental organization and Geopolitical Union of States in South Asia. SAC is the regional intergovernmental organization and geopolitical union of states in South Asia. സൗത്ത് ഏഷ്യൻ രാജ്യങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു ഐക്യം അല്ലെ, ഒരു രൂപീകരിക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് ഗവൺമെന്റ് തമ്മിലുള്ള അത്, അതായത് അവരുടെ ഒരു ഐക്യം ഉറപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി അല്ലെ, ഒരു ഓർഗനൈസേഷന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് ഗവൺമെന്റുകൾ തമ്മിലുള്ള ഒരു കോർഡിനേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു സഹകരണമാണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സാക്ക് എന്നുള്ളത്. ഇന്റോ ഗവൺമെന്റൽ ഓർഗനൈസേഷൻ ആൻഡ് geopolitical union of states in South Asia, that is South Asia. സൗത്ത് ഏഷ്യൻ രാജ്യങ്ങളാണ് ഇവിടെ. The organization promotes development of economic and regional integration. The organization promotes development of economic and regional integration. The member countries ചോദിക്കാം, നമുക്ക് ഓരോ ഇതിന്റെയും മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസുകൾ അറിഞ്ഞിരിക്കണം. ഇതിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് നമ്മൾ ആസിയാൻ പഠിച്ചു, നമ്മൾ രണ്ടാമത്തെ സാക്കാണ്. ആസിയാന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് ആരാണെന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് അറിഞ്ഞിരിക്കുക. ദെൻ സാക്കിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഏതാണ്? അഫ്ഗാനിസ്ഥാൻ, ദെൻ ബംഗ്ലാദേശ്, ദെൻ ഭൂട്ടാൻ, ദെൻ ഇന്ത്യ, മാൽദീവ്സ്, നേപ്പാൾ, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Member countries of SAARC: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Next one is SAFTA agreement was signed on 6th January 2004 during 12th SAARC summit held in Islamabad, Pakistan. 12th സാർക്ക് സബ്മിറ്റിൽ പാകിസ്ഥാനിൽ വെച്ച് ഇസ്ലാമാബാദിൽ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് എന്തെന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സാഫ്ത എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ്. അപ്പം നമ്മളിപ്പോ പഠിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് സാർക്കാണ്. അത് എന്തായി മാറി? സാഫ്തയായി മാറി എന്നുള്ളത് നമ്മൾ ഓർക്കുക. അപ്പം അത് എന്നാണ് എന്നുള്ളത് 2004 6th ജാനുവരിയിലാണ് അത് സൈൻ ചെയ്തത് ഇസ്ലാമാബാദ്, പാകിസ്ഥാനിലെ ഇസ്ലാമാബാദ്. സാഫ്ത is an agreement was signed on 6th January 2004 during 12th SAARC summit held in Islamabad in Pakistan. It launched the South Asian Free Trade Area. SAFTA full form. Then South Asian Free Trade Area. In 2006. Agreement sign ചെയ്ത date ആണ് 2004, but it was launched in SAFTA launched in 2006. SAFTA agreement was signed in 2004, but it launched in 2006. SAFTA means South Asian Free Trade Area. The agreement enrolled on to force on 1st January 2006. That is 2006 means 1st January 2006. And the trade liberalization program commenced from 1st July 2006. അപ്പൊ എന്താണ് കുറച്ച് വ്യക്തമായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞ 1st January 2006 അത് ആ ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ് എൻറോൾ ചെയ്തത്. ആൻഡ് ട്രേഡ് ലിബറൈസേഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം കമൻസ് ചെയ്തത് 1st July 2006. ചിലപ്പോൾ ആ രണ്ട് ഡേറ്റുകൾ തമ്മിൽ മാറ്റിയും തിരിച്ചുമൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കാം കേട്ടോ. അപ്പം സാഫ്തയുടെ the agreement enrolled on to force on 1st January 2006 and the trade liberalization program commenced from 1st July 2006. Under this agreement, SARC members will bring their duties down to 20% by 2009. ഇതൊക്കെ ചെയ്തിട്ടും എന്താ പറയാ, സാർക്ക് മെമ്പേഴ്സിന് 2009 ആയപ്പോഴാണ് അവരുടെ ആ ഒരു കാര്യങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ ഒരു 20% ഒക്കെ ഇളവ് സംഭവിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. 2009 കേട്ടോ. സാർക്ക് മെമ്പേഴ്സ് വിൽ ബ്രിങ് ദെയർ ഡ്യൂട്ടീസ് ഡൗൺ ടു 20% by 2009. It maintains permanent diplomatic relation at the United Nations, at the United Nations as an observer and has developed links with the multilateral entities including the European Union. അവരെന്ത് ചെയ്തു, ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞ യുണൈറ്റഡ് നേഷൻസും ഒക്കെ ആയിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഒരു നല്ല റിലേഷൻഷിപ്പ് അവര് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് ഇതിനകത്ത് ചോദിക്കാൻ കൊള്ളാവുന്ന ഇതിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്, ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്. ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തായിരുന്നു. എന്തൊക്കെയായിരുന്നു? അഫ്ഗാനിസ്ഥാൻ, ബംഗ്ലാദേശ്, ഭൂട്ടാൻ, ഇന്ത്യ, മാൽദീവ്സ്, നേപ്പാൾ, പാകിസ്ഥാൻ ആൻഡ് ശ്രീലങ്ക എന്ന് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് ചെയ്തു, ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്തു. ഇനി ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് ഏതൊക്കെയാന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ അത് മാറ്റിയും തിരിച്ചും ചോദിക്കും. അപ്പോ നമുക്ക് തെറ്റിപ്പോകരുത്. മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ്, സാർക്കിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസും ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സും മാറി തിരിഞ്ഞ് ചോദിക്കാം. ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് ഇറാൻ, ഓസ്ട്രേലിയ, ചൈന, യൂറോപ്യൻ യൂണിയൻ, ജപ്പാൻ, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മൗറീഷ്യസ്, മ്യാൻമാർ, സൗത്ത് കൊറിയ, യുണൈറ്റഡ് കിങ്ഡം ആൻഡ് യുണൈറ്റഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ്. ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് എഴുതി വെച്ചോ, അത് മാറിപ്പോകരുത്. ഇറാൻ, ഓസ്ട്രേലിയ, ചൈന, യൂറോപ്യൻ യൂണിയൻ, ജപ്പാൻ, മൗറീഷ്യസ്, മ്യാൻമാർ, സൗത്ത് കൊറിയ, യുണൈറ്റഡ് കിങ്ഡം ആൻഡ് യുണൈറ്റഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ്. മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് എത്ര പേരുണ്ടായിരുന്നു ഇതിനകത്ത്? സാർക്കിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് എത്ര പേരായിരുന്നു ഓർക്കുന്നോ? 8 പേരല്ലേ? 8 ഇവിടെ ഒബ്സർവർ കൺട്രീസ് 10 പേര് വരുന്നുണ്ട് കേട്ടോ. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് 10 പേരും മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് 8 പേരുമായിട്ടാണ് വരുന്നത്. 8 മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് ആൻഡ് ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് is done. Next one is NAFTA. 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 നമ്മള് ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് അല്ലെ, ഫസ്റ്റിലെ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് എഗ്രിമെന്റ് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോ നമ്മൾ എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറഞ്ഞു അല്ലെ, നാഫ്റ്റ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ഏരിയക്ക്. ഓക്കെ, എന്താണ് നാഫ്റ്റ? മീൻസ് നോർത്ത് അമേരിക്കൻ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് എഗ്രിമെന്റ്. നാഫ്റ്റ മീൻസ് നോർത്ത് അമേരിക്കൻ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് എഗ്രിമെന്റ്. NAFTA, NAFTA, NAFTA. NAFTA means North American Free Trade Agreement. The agreement came into force on January 1st, 1994. The agreement came into force on January 1st, 1994. NAFTA was an agreement signed by Canada, Mexico, and the United States. നാഫ്തയിൽ ആരൊക്കെ സൈൻ ചെയ്തു എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്? സൈൻഡ് ബൈ കാനഡ, Mexico and the United States. NAFTA was an agreement signed by Canada, Mexico, and the United States. The agreement came into force on January 1st, 1994. The important date that create a trilateral trade bloc in North America. That create a trilateral trade bloc in North America. That is Canada, Mexico, and United States, US. That is trilateral trade bloc. NAFTA trade bloc formed one of the largest trade bloc in the world by GDP. NAFTA trade bloc formed one of the largest trade bloc in the world by GDP. GDP-യിൽ വളരെ ലാർജസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ട്രേഡ് ബ്ലോക്ക് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് ആർക്കാണ്? നാഫ്തയ്ക്കാണെന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പം നാഫ്ത ട്രേഡ് ബ്ലോക്ക് ഫോംഡ് വൺ ഓഫ് ദി ലാർജസ്റ്റ് ട്രേഡ് ബ്ലോക്ക് ഇൻ ദി വേൾഡ് ബൈ GDP. GDP-യിൽ ലാർജസ്റ്റ് ട്രേഡ് ബ്ലോക്ക്. അപ്പൊ അതൊരു MCQ ആണ്. അപ്പൊ ഓരോ കോൺട്രിബ്യൂഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ നാഫ്റ്റയിൽ ഓരോ കൺട്രീസിലും. നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു 3 countries അല്ലെ? 3 countries പറഞ്ഞു. അതില് US, കാനഡ ആൻഡ് മെക്സിക്കോ. US ടെക്നോളജി, സർവീസ്, ഡേറ്റ പ്രോസസിംഗ്, മെഡിക്കൽ ആൻഡ് സ്പേസ് റിസർച്ച് ആൻഡ് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ. യുഎസിന്റെ ഏതൊക്കെയാണ്? ടെക്നോളജി, സർവീസസ്, ഡേറ്റ പ്രോസസിംഗ്, മെഡിക്കൽ ആൻഡ് സ്പേസ് റിസർച്ച് ആൻഡ് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ. Contribution by United States. Contribution by Canada, mineral, forest products, energy, and technological expertise. Then last one is Mexico. Contribution of Mexico is labor, petroleum, and agricultural products. Using the contribution, technology, service, data processing, medical and space research and capital. Then Canada, mineral, forest products, energy and technological expertise. Mexico, labor, petroleum and agriculture products. Benefits of NAFTA. Importers buy duty-free goods. Strong economic growth. Trade and investment level increased. Then important economic stability. Important economic stability. സ്റ്റേബിൾ ആകണമെങ്കിൽ അത് അറിയാമല്ലോ. ആ ഒരു ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി അവർക്കുണ്ട്. അതാണ് അവർ പറയുന്നത്. ദെൻ ബെറ്റർ പ്രൈസസ് ഇൻ കസ്റ്റമർ ഗുഡ്സ്. ബെറ്റർ പ്രൈസസ് ഇൻ കസ്റ്റമർ ഗുഡ്സ്. ഒരു നാഫ്റ്റയുടെ ഏറ്റവും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളത് ഇതാണ്, ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി അല്ലെ എക്കണോമിക് സ്റ്റെബിലിറ്റി ഇംപ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യുന്നു എന്നുള്ളത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ എക്കണോമിക് ഗ്രോത്ത് സ്ട്രോങ് ആണ്. ദെൻ അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ബെറ്റർ പ്രൈസസ് ഇൻ കസ്റ്റമർ ഗുഡ്സ്. ഇതൊക്കെ ഇതിന്റെ ഒരു എന്താണ്, ട്രേഡ് ആൻഡ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റ് ലെവൽ ഇൻക്രീസ്ഡ്. ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെന്റും ട്രേഡും ഒക്കെ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് ലെവൽ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് കൂടുന്നുണ്ട്. ഇതൊക്കെ അവരുടെ നാഫ്റ്റയുടെ ബെനിഫിറ്റുകളിൽ വരുന്ന കാര്യം. ഓക്കെ, NAFTA has 2 supplements. ഇത് ചോദിക്കാൻ കൊള്ളാവുന്ന ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണ്. നാഫ്റ്റയുടെ 2 സപ്ലിമെന്റ്സ് നെറ്റിന് ചോദിക്കാൻ കൊള്ളാവുന്ന ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണ്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന്റെ ഇത് തന്നിട്ട് ഇതിന്റെ ഫുൾ ഫോം എന്താന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു ചോദിക്കും. 2 supplement. First one is North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation. North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation, NAAEZ. NAAEZ, North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation. Second one, North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation, NAALC. North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation, NAALC. NAFTA has two supplements. First, NAAEC and NAALC. NAAEC means North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation, and NAALC means North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation. Administration centers: Canada, Ottawa. Canada Ottawa. Mexico, Mexico City. US, Washington DC. Administration centers, 3 administration centers. First one, Canada, Mexico, US. Canada, Ottawa, Mexico, Mexico City, and US, Washington DC. There was a recent amendment in the case of NAFTA. After US President Donald Trump took office in January 2017, they sought to replace NAFTA with a new agreement beginning negotiations with Canada and Mexico. In September 18, the United States, Mexico, and Canada reached an agreement to replace NAFTA with the United States Mexico Canada Agreement, USMCA. എന്താ പറഞ്ഞ ഇവിടെ ട്രംപ് 2017 ജാനുവരിയിൽ വന്നിട്ട് എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, കാനഡയും മെക്സിക്കോയും തമ്മിലുള്ള ആ ഒരു കാര്യങ്ങൾ കുറെ നെഗോസിയേഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ടാക്കി, കുറെ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ, കുറെ ഡിസ്കഷൻസ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്തു. അതിന്റെ ഫലമായിട്ട് കുറെ മാറ്റങ്ങളൊക്കെ വരുത്താൻ തീരുമാനിച്ചു. പക്ഷെ ഇൻ സെപ്റ്റംബർ 2018 നാഫ്റ്റ മാറി എന്തായി മാറ്റി, യുണൈറ്റഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് മെക്സിക്കോ കാനഡ അഗ്രിമെന്റ് USMCA എന്ന ഒരിതിലേക്ക് മാറ്റി. അപ്പം യുണൈറ്റഡ് സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് മെക്സിക്കോ ആൻഡ് കാനഡ എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ആ ഒരു ഫോം വെച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നാഫ്റ്റ മാറി എന്താണ്, USMCA. അപ്പൊ ഈ പേര് ചിലപ്പോൾ ഫുൾ ഫോം ആയിട്ട് ചോദിക്കാം. USMCA. USMCA means United States Mexico Canada Agreement. Date in September 2018. After US President Trump took office in January 2017, they sought to replace NAFTA with a new agreement beginning negotiations with Canada and Mexico. In September 2018, the United States, Mexico, and Canada reached an agreement to replace NAFTA with the United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. That is USMCA. USMCA means United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. അത് ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 94-ലായിരുന്നു എന്താണ് ആക്ടുകൾക്ക് ചെറിയ കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ വന്നത്. പിന്നെ ഒരു മാറ്റവും എന്താണ് നാഫ്റ്റയിൽ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല, ഒരു ചേഞ്ചസ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല. പിന്നെ വരുന്ന ചേഞ്ചസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 2017-ലാണ്. 94-ലാണ് മാറ്റം ഉണ്ടായ ആ ഒരു എഗ്രിമെന്റ്, ആ ഒരു രീതിയിലൊക്കെ കുറച്ച് മാറ്റങ്ങൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചേഞ്ചസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആക്ട് ഒക്കെ വന്നത്. അപ്പൊ പിന്നെ വരുന്നത് 2017-ലാണ്. ഇതിന്റെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഒരു മാറ്റവും എന്ത് ചെയ്തിരുന്നതാണ് റീസെന്റ് അമെന്റ്മെന്റ്സ് എന്ന് എടുത്ത് പറയാനുള്ള കാരണം. അപ്പൊ അതിനകത്ത് ചോദിക്കാൻ കൊള്ളാവുന്ന ചോദ്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ USMCA ആണ്. അതിന്റെ എന്താണ് അതിന്റെ ഫുൾ ഫോം, എന്താണ് അതിന്റെ ഡേറ്റ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. നമ്മള് ഇന്ന് പഠിച്ചതെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാല് നമുക്കതിനകത്ത് യൂറോപ്യൻ യൂണിയനും കൂടെ ഏരിയയും കൂടി ഉണ്ട്. റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്താണ് എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഇന്ന് നോക്കിയത്. അതിന്റെ മീനിങ് നമ്മൾ പഠിച്ചു. അതിന്റെ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമ്മൾ പറഞ്ഞു നാഫ്ത. അല്ലേ? ഈ നാഫ്ത എന്താണെന്ന് നമ്മളിപ്പോ പഠിച്ചു അല്ലേ? ആദ്യം നമുക്ക് അറിയില്ലായിരുന്നു. നോർത്ത് അമേരിക്കൻ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് എഗ്രിമെന്റ് അല്ലേ? അപ്പം എന്താണ് റീജിയണൽ എക്കണോമിക് ഇന്റഗ്രേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്കറിയാം മീൻസ് ആൻ എഗ്രിമെന്റ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ഗ്രൂപ്പ് ഓഫ് കൺട്രീസ് ഇൻ എ ജിയോഗ്രഫിക്കൽ റീജിയൻ ടു reduce and ultimately remove tariff and non-tariff barriers. ഓർത്താൽ മതി, tariff and non-tariff barriers to the free flow of goods, then services and the factors of production between each other. Example, North American Free Trade Agreement is NAFTA. Then some important regional economic integrations are SAARC, ASEAN, APEC, EU, Economic Union, NAFTA, and SAFTA. Then types of regional economic integration. First one is free trade area. Free trade area means, and then a free trade area, each country determine its own external trade policy. Then customs union is next one. Next type of regional integration. Customs unions has common external tariff. Okay. Then common market. Common market as a regional economic integration allow for the creation of economically integrated market between member countries. The primary advantage to workers is that no longer need a visa or work permit to work in another member country of a common market. Example, common market for Eastern and Southern Africa. Then economic union is the fourth one. Then type of economic integration is created when countries enter into an economic agreement to remove barriers to trade and adopt common economic policies. Example, economic union. Then advantages and disadvantages of regional economic agreement. Then first one is trade creation, employment opportunities and cooperation. Then trade and disadvantages are trade diversion, employment shift, loss of natural sovereignty. The first one is ASEAN type of economic integration. First one is ASEAN. ASEAN was established in Bangkok. ASEAN means ASEAN headquarters five member countries: Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Now, 10 member countries are there, and the five aims established. ASEAN was established on 8th August 1967. That is important. The main aim to promote the intergovernmental cooperation, economic, security, political, educational, military, and socio-cultural integration among member countries and other countries in Asia. Then next one is SAARC. SAARC. SAARC means South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Then it was established in Bangladesh. Established on 8th December 1985. Secretariat based on Kathmandu. SAARC is the regional intergovernmental organization and the geopolitical union of states in South Africa. The organization promotes development of economic and regional integration. Member countries: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. സാർക്കിന്റെ മെമ്പർ കൺട്രീസ് ഒക്കെ ചോദിക്കാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്. അത് നമുക്ക് തെറ്റിപ്പോകുന്നതാണ്, ഓർത്ത് വെച്ചേക്കുക. ഓക്കെ. പിന്നെ സാഫ്ത എഗ്രിമെന്റ് എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ എഗ്രിമെന്റ് സൈൻ ചെയ്ത ഡേറ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ 6 January 2004 അത് ഏത് എപ്പോഴാണ് എവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ടാണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ്, 12th സാർക്ക് സബ്മിറ്റലാണ്. അത് ഇസ്ലാമാബാദിലെ പാകിസ്ഥാനിൽ വെച്ച്. എവിടെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം എവിടെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം വന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, എവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ടാണ് ഈ സാഫ്ത എഗ്രിമെന്റ് സൈൻ ചെയ്തത് എന്ന് ചോദ്യം വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. തെറ്റിനാണോ എന്നൊന്നും എനിക്കറിയില്ല, എവിടെ ഞാൻ കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ലഞ്ച് ദി സൗത്ത് ഏഷ്യൻ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ഏരിയ അല്ലെ. അപ്പം സാർക്കിന്റെ ഫുൾ ഫോം എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ സൗത്ത് ഏഷ്യൻ ഫ്രീ ട്രേഡ് ഏരിയ ആണ്. 2006 ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്തത്. അത് എഗ്രിമെന്റ് സൈൻ ചെയ്തത് 2006 January 2004 ആണ്. പക്ഷെ ലോഞ്ച് ചെയ്തത് 2006 ആണ്. ശരിക്കും പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഒന്നുകൂടെ കറക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ 1st January 2006. അപ്പം ട്രേഡ് ലിബറൈസേഷൻ പ്രോഗ്രാം കമ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് 1st July 2006. And under this agreement, SAARC members will bring their duties down to 20% by 2009 ആയിട്ടാണ് 20% ഡ്യൂട്ടീസ് ഒക്കെ ഡൗൺ ചെയ്തത്. അതിന്റെ ഒബ്സർവർ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഇറാൻ ഉണ്ട്, ഓസ്ട്രേലിയ, ചൈന, യൂറോപ്യൻ യൂണിയൻ, ജപ്പാൻ, മൗറീഷ്യസ്, മ്യാൻമാർ, South Korea, United Kingdom and United States. Next is NAFTA. North American Free Trade Agreement. After the full form, North American Free Trade Agreement. The agreement came into force on January 1st, 1994. NAFTA was an agreement signed by Canada, Mexico and the US. That create the trilateral trade bloc in North America. Trilateral means Canada, Mexico, and the United States. 3 countries created an agreement. NAFTA trade bloc formed one of the largest trade bloc in the world by GDP. Contribution of NAFTA in US contribution, technology, service, data processing, medical and space research and capital. Canada, mineral forest products, energy and technological expertise, etc. Labor, petroleum and agriculture products. Benefits. Import by duty-free goods, strong economic growth, trade and investment level increased, then improved economic stability, better prices in consumer goods. NAFTA has 2 supplements. First one, North American Agreement on Environmental Cooperation, NAAEC, and second one is North American Agreement on Labor Cooperation, NAALC. Administration centers in Canada, Ottawa, Mexico City, then US of America, Washington DC. Is an amendment after US President Donald Trump took office in January 2017. He sought to replace NAFTA with the new agreement beginning negotiations with Canada and Mexico. In September 2018, the United States, Mexico, and Canada reached the agreement to replace NAFTA with the United States, Mexico, Canada, USMCA. Okay, thank you. നമുക്ക് എക്കണോമിക് യൂണിയനും കൂടെ ഉണ്ട്. നമുക്കത് നെക്സ്റ്റ് ക്ലാസ്സിൽ എടുക്കാം. ഓക്കെ, ഹലോ.
Okay, ma'am.
നമുക്ക് എപ്പോഴും സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യും? സെക്ഷൻ 6 സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തോ? 6 ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നോ?
Yes, ma'am.
ഓക്കെ, ഇനി നെക്സ്റ്റ് സെക്ഷൻ എന്റെ എന്നാ വരുന്നത് അറിയുമോ?
ഒന്ന് ചെക്ക് ചെയ്യണം മാം അത്.
അറിയിച്ചാൽ അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ഇനി കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ, ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ട് തോന്നി പഠിക്കാനായിട്ട്. ഇതിനകത്ത് യൂറോപ്യൻ യൂണിയൻ ബാലൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, ഇനി ബാക്കി ഒരുപാട് വേരിയസ് വരുന്നുണ്ട്. എന്തെങ്കിലും
ആർക്കെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടോ ഈ സെക്ഷനിൽ? ദോസ് ഹു ഹാവ് എനി ഡൗട്ട്സ്? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു.
Thank you, ma'am, for the section. Thank you.
താങ്ക് യു മാം.
ക്ലിയർ ആയോ എല്ലാവർക്കും കുറച്ചൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇതിനകത്തുനിന്ന്?
Yes, ma'am.
ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക് യു.